Hello, my name is Ken Ruiz, Communications Manager here at Maclellan, North America. Welcome to Maclellan. We are glad you are joining us. You are joining a company that strives to be the best, and safety is no exception. We know that none of you wants to get hurt or plans to get hurt. However, there is always some risk involved in industrial environments. What we will cover today are safety practices that we have installed to control and minimize the risk of harm to you, to the property, and to the environment. This information is for your benefit, so pay attention. There will be a quiz on the material covered, and a score of at least 80% is required in order to work for Maclellan. So pay attention and take notes if you want to. When you come to Maclellan, you are joining a team of professionals that strive to be the best in the industry. We are glad you have joined us, and we wish you every success in the future. We want you to go home at the end of the day in the same health that you came to work. Tired is okay, hurt is not. So that you have a good understanding of our safety expectations, we will cover some basic requirements. General safety requirements, emergency plans, personal protective equipment, powered mobile equipment, slips, trips, and falls, working from heights, barricades and signs, back injury prevention, chemical safety, incident reporting, and disciplinary action. Both Maclellan and the customers that we work for are committed to providing a drug-free workplace. Coming to work under the influence is a violation of company rules. This includes all controlled substances and alcohol. The use, sale, or possession of alcohol or a controlled substance on Maclellan or the company's property will result in termination of employment. Our substance abuse program includes pre-employment screening, testing for reasonable cause, example would be suspicion, testing after work related injuries. We provide a smoke-free environment. The use of tobacco products is restricted to designated areas. Smoking in the plant will lead to disciplinary action up to termination. Check with your supervisor to find out where the designated smoking facilities are located. Strike anywhere matches and disposable lighters are not allowed. We expect everyone to work safely. Being new to a company is no excuse. We will identify safe work practices and provide you with the tools and equipment to safely perform the work. But you have a key role in safety. You must take personal responsibility for your actions. This requires a few simple rules. First, follow the safety practices that you will learn today and watch out for your fellow workers. Starting a new job with a new company means unfamiliar people, practices, and work conditions. Extra caution must be taken. If anything is broken or not working properly, stop and tell your supervisor. Maintain a neat and orderly workplace. Do not create a work hazard for others. Put tools and equipment away when the job is finished. If you spill something, clean it up. If you need a long cord or hose to do a job, keep it out of the walkways. If you think something is unsafe or you don't know how to do it, ask your supervisor. Good housekeeping is fundamental to providing a safe workplace. It sets the tone for the type of work we do. Keep the break area clean and orderly. Pick up after yourself. Leave a clean break area for the next person. Everything has a place, so put things where they belong. This includes trash. Do not litter. Clean up any spills or slip hazards. Slips, trips, and falls are the second leading cause of injury at Maclellan. Keep walkways and stairs clear of obstructions and trip hazards. Never leave tools, cords, or materials in walkways. Do not block exits, electrical panels, or any emergency equipment. Keep chemical containers closed when not in use. Your supervisor will show you the evacuation routes and assembly areas. As a new employee, you should review these in your mind each day until they are committed to memory. Know what to do in the event of an emergency. Know where to go. And stay with your group until further notice. Eye wash stations and safety showers are typically located in areas where chemicals are used. Make sure you know where they are located if you are working with chemicals. If you get a chemical splash in your eye, hold the eyelids apart and flush with water. For chemicals that can cause eye damage, a 15-minute eye wash is recommended. For dust or other particles in the eye, do not rub the eye. This often causes more damage than a simple flush and first aid treatment. Flush the eye with water and seek first aid treatment. Close your eye and hold your hand over it to prevent movement of the eyeball. Natural disasters do happen. Be prepared for the unexpected. In case of a tornado alarm, go to the designated shelter for your work area. Report in with a team leader and ensure that everyone is accounted for. For earthquakes, if near an exit, go outside, far away from the building if it's safe to do so. Go to the assigned assembly area. Otherwise, curl up next to a bulky object that will provide shelter from falling debris. Special precautions are required in areas where flammables are used or stored. These include paint mixing rooms, paint booths, flammable liquid storage areas. If you are given brass non-sparking tools, do not bring other tools into the work area. Do not bring cell phones into areas where flammables are used or stored. If you have one on your possession, make sure it is turned off. Metal drums and pails of flammable liquids require grounding while stored, ensuring that drums and containers are properly grounded. Do not remove these grounding cables. Bonding is a method of connecting two containers to prevent the generation of a spark which could ignite the vapors. When not using the container, keep it closed. Fire extinguishers and alarms are red. Know where these are and how to activate the alarms. Do not use a fire extinguisher unless you have been specifically trained through Maclellan to do so. If an alarm sounds, follow the designated evacuation route and go to the assigned assembly area. In the event the building must be evacuated, go to your assigned assembly area. Get to a place of safety. Report in with a Maclellan supervisor. Provide your name. Do not re-enter buildings or leave the emergency shelter until authorized by a group leader or above. If you become separated from your group, report to any supervisor with a means of communication. Example would be a handheld radio or walkie-talkie. Most facilities require some form of personal protective equipment, often referred to as PPE. The type of PPE required will vary from facility to facility. You'll be advised on the specific requirements depending upon the task you will be assigned. Make sure you always wear your required PPE. Failure to do so can lead to removal from the job site. All Maclellan job sites require that safety glasses with side shields be worn. Exceptions include offices, the cafeteria, and the restrooms. Other areas such as main aisles may be designated as safe on a site-by-site basis. Rule of thumb: if you're not in a designated safe zone, you had better be wearing your safety glasses. Non-prescription safety glasses will be provided. If you require prescription lenses, you must wear either safety glasses with prescription lenses or safety glasses or goggles that cover your personal glasses. Street or fashion glasses are not safety glasses. Lenses and frames must meet strict national standards. Frames should be marked with the Z87 marking, that's Zebra 87. If you do not have safety glasses, you will need to wear overviews or goggles. Safety glasses may not be suitable for some jobs. Other protective eyewear such as safety goggles or chemical goggles may be required along with a face shield. As an example, safety glasses do not provide suitable protection from chemical splashes or high-speed airborne particles, such as when grinding or using compressed air to clean equipment. A face shield must be worn with safety glasses anytime there is a likelihood of flying objects or splashing a chemical. This includes such instances as when filling a chemical container, working with chemicals overhead, there is danger of flying debris, example would be chipping or grinding, using pressure washer or grate blasting, Additional experience and training are required for this job. Hand injuries are common, but easily preventable. You'll be provided the appropriate gloves to protect your hands. Examples are lint-free gloves or cotton gloves for splinters or rough surfaces, Kevlar or cut-resistant gloves for sharp surfaces that can cause lacerations, rubber, nitrate, or neoprene gloves for protection from chemicals, leather or fire-resistant gloves for thermal hazards, anti-vibration gloves for use with vibrating or pulsating equipment. Chemical-resistant gloves will be provided for protection against chemicals. When working with chemicals, cuff the glove so that the chemicals do not run up the arm or sleeve when your hands are raised. Some jobs will be just downright dirty. Protective clothing will be provided. Other jobs may require water repellent or chemical resistant clothing. Capes and or protective sleeves are required in certain plants. Areas, for example, would be body weld and stamping. Head protection is required at all Maclellan job sites. Some sites may allow bump caps. As the name implies, these only protect the head in tight spaces where contact with a hard or sharp surface could occur. Hard hats are only good for 5 years. Check the date under the brim to ensure that you have not exceeded the useful life of the hard hat. Safety-toed shoes are required at most Maclellan locations. If not required, a substantial work boot must be worn. Open-toed shoes, dress shoes, and slippers are never allowed. Many facilities have high noise levels that, without hearing protection, can lead to hearing damage. Just because you don't see the damage does not mean it's not occurring. Areas or jobs with noise levels of 85 decibels or higher are considered to be high noise areas. These areas require hearing protection. This will be provided to you and you'll be shown how to use it. Always wear the hearing protection provided to you in these high noise areas. Very few jobs require the use of respiratory protection. If your work requires respiratory protection, you will receive additional training. You are not allowed to use respirators without medical clearance and additional training. Some work may cause dust or other airborne particles that are a nuisance to those in the area. Dust masks are available for you to use. Training will be required prior to use. All plants have vehicles designated specifically for moving materials and people. These include forklifts, man lifts, tuggers, golf carts, bikes, and trikes. Only trained and certified employees may operate these vehicles. Never operate any form of transportation without authorization and certification. Even though you probably will not be operating any mobile equipment, there will be lift trucks and other powered vehicles in the plant. So follow these basic rules and you will not get hurt. Keep in mind that a collision with one of these vehicles could be fatal. Who has the right of way? This varies from plant to plant. So never take the right of way until the driver acknowledges you and gives you the right of way. Always stop and look both ways before you cross an intersection. A good practice is to point in the direction you are going. If there is a vehicle, make eye contact with the driver so that you know that he or she sees you. Wait for the vehicle to pass or for the driver to wave you on. Stand away from raised loads. Never walk under a raised load. Don't assume that raised loads are stable. Assume that they can fall. Horseplay is never allowed in the industrial setting. However, it is especially dangerous around mobile equipment. Never harass or distract a driver or climb onto a vehicle that is moving. Hitching a ride is not authorized unless the vehicle is specifically designed for passengers, such as golf carts and easy-goes. Do not walk through roll-up doors. Roll-up doors are for equipment and supplies only. Walk-through doors are for pedestrians. You may be working in wet areas or areas with slick surfaces. Therefore, it's a good idea to wear shoes with slip-resistant soles. They have proven to be very effective in reducing falls. Some easy methods for preventing falls from slip hazards include: clean up any water spills immediately, even if you're not the guilty party. Clean up chemical spills only for chemicals that you have been trained on. If your task is to mop floors, always place a wet floor sign to warning others. If not available, use an orange cone or put up caution tape. Falls on stairs can lead to serious injury, but are easily preventable. First of all, always use the handrail. You may slip, but you won't fall. Do not carry loads that block your view and keep one hand free. Never run up or down stairs, and do not skip steps. Never leave materials, cords, and hoses on the stairs that can trip an unwary person. Now let's take a look at preventing trips. First of all, don't let your clothing be a trip hazard. Many of you will either be receiving a lint-free paint suit or a Tyvek suit. For paint suits, either snap or zip the pant legs so that they do not drag on the floor. For Tyvek or similar protective clothing, if the pant legs are too long, shorten them so that they do not cause a trip hazard. This may be done in several ways. Example: place tape around the bottom, roll them up, tie them, cut them off. A word of caution: for hot work environment, you should not tape the legs. This will cut off airflow and could lead to heat stress on the body. You may be working in areas with uneven surfaces, tracks, piping, etc. Always look before you step. Walk, don't run. Step across, don't jump over. Step over obstacles, not on them. Always be careful and alert. There are many hazards in the industrial plant. For low light areas, take a flashlight or a headlamp. Why do we talk about falls and take them so seriously? It's simply a law of mathematics. If you fall 12 feet from a ladder, you would be traveling nearly 20 miles per hour by the time you hit the ground. Can you imagine what type of damage you would cause if you took off running and ran with your eyes closed and ran into a wall 12 feet away? If you were fast, you would probably be running no more than 4 or 5 miles an hour. Falls from ladders can cause serious injury. You may be asked to use one. Therefore, make sure you inspect the ladder prior to use to ensure it is safe. Check for stability of the ladder, example the legs, bracing, and latches, clean steps and rungs, and make sure labels and warnings are legible. Some general rules for safe use of ladders include: start with the inspection to ensure your ladder is safe. Keep both hands free while climbing. Maintain 3 points of contact, example 2 hands and 1 foot or 2 feet and 1 hand. The belly does not count. Always face the ladder while working and while going up and down. Do not overextend your reach. You can lose your balance and fall. Use the belt buckle rule. Keep your belt buckle within the lines of the ladder. Never walk a ladder while on it. Get down and move it if you cannot reach the work safely. Additional rules for the safe use of step ladders include: never stand on the last step or on top of the step ladder. Never step on the bracing. It's not meant to support a load. When working on grates, ladder feet require a platform or other means to ensure grating does not move, to give the ladder more stability. For straight or extension ladders, never stand on or above the third step from the top. Extend the ladder prior to putting it into place. Extension ladders must be tied off at the top and bottom. Use the 4-to-1 rule when placing the ladder. Place the base of the ladder 1 foot out for every 4 feet of vertical height. Cleaning and changing grates is a common task for many of our plants we work in. This creates an open hole where there is a potential for someone to fall. Use barriers and danger tape to warn others. Do not cross barriers unless authorized to do so. Be extremely cautious. Watch where you are stepping. Take your time. Do not get in a hurry. And never leave an open hole unattended. Barricades and signs are used to warn of open holes and other hazardous conditions. Such devices provide vital safety information. Do not ignore them. Danger tape warns that more serious hazards may exist. An example, open holes. Never cross under or through an area barricade with danger tape unless specifically authorized or part of the work crew. Danger tape can only be removed by the person who put it up, or a person specifically authorized and designated by that person. Examples: open holes, dry ice blasting, water blasting, large chemical spills, hot work, painting floors, etc. Caution tape is a form of barricade often used to warn of slip or trip hazards. Some examples of when caution tape is used includes mopping, wet floors, small spills, work area with trip hazards, construction zone. Caution tape can be crossed but requires extreme care. A leading cause of injury within industry is due to sprains and strains from lifting or moving materials. Our backs were not designed for lifting, so use mechanical equipment and avoid heavy lifting where possible. When manual lifting cannot be avoided, proper lifting techniques can prevent the wear and tear on the back that can lead to injury over the years. Don't just grab a heavy or bulky object, plan to lift. Stretch and bend gently to loosen muscles. Stand close to the object. Make sure footing is solid. Place one foot slightly forward of the other. Use a staggered stance. Grasp the object firmly. Pull the load close to the body. Keep the back in a vertical position. Squat or place one knee on the ground or floor. Lift with your legs, not your back. When possible, push a load rather than pull it. Pushing a load is easier on the back and is easier to control. Your team leader or group leader will instruct you on the proper usage and handling procedures for chemicals that you will be using. But we will cover some basic chemical safety information. We refer to this as hazard communication. You may have heard it referred to as HAZCOM. Sometimes people refer to hazardous communications as your right to know. Example, you have a right to know about the hazards of the chemicals you are using. No matter which term is used, the key is knowing the hazards so you can better protect yourself from those hazards. Chemical hazard information comes from three primary tools: the Hazardous Chemicals List, MSDSs, and container labeling. Maclellan maintains MSDSs for the chemicals we use in the workplace. They are typically kept in a right-to-know center, in the tool crib, or in the break area. You have a right to know about the potential hazards of any chemicals you work with. These will be explained to you, but you can still access the MSDS anytime you want to. A list or inventory of chemicals is maintained with the MSDSs, and the keeper of the MSDS book is identified, so you will know who can best help you with any questions. MSDSs provide information about the physical properties and potential hazards of a chemical. An example, its flammability, the potential for vapor to ignite, collect in low spots, or to readily dispense. The health effects are explained as well, as the measures needed to safely use or store the chemical. Required PPE are identified as well as first aid measures for exposure. All chemical containers must be labeled. They provide similar information to the MSDSs. Example, chemical identity, its common name, precautionary measures for safe handling, use and storage, first aid measures in case of exposure. If you transfer chemicals to a smaller container for convenience of use, these must be labeled as well. A common labeling practice is to use color-coded labels with a numbering system to identify the degree of hazard. Blue is used to identify health hazards, red identifies flammability, and yellow indicates how reactive the chemical is. A rating scale from 0 to 4 is used. 0 indicates no or minimal hazard. 4 indicates extreme hazard. Example, flammability rating of 4 indicates extremely flammable, whereas a 0 indicates the chemical is non-flammable. General rules for safe use. Be prepared, follow label and MSDS instructions. For small spills, clean up immediately. To prevent exposure, to prevent slips and falls. For large, hazardous spills, unless specifically trained to clean up, notified affected individuals, evacuate the area, report the spill. Follow safe practices and all chemicals can be used without harm. Likewise, all chemicals can be potentially hazardous if safety procedures are not followed. Always follow safety procedures and label instructions. Always wear any required PPE. Never horseplay with chemicals. Know what to do in case of chemical contact or a spill. The most common chemicals used at Maclellan are cleaners and solvents. Always wear chemical-resistant gloves when using these chemicals. Continued contact with the skin can remove the natural body oils and protective layers, allowing a direct route for chemicals and other contaminants to enter the body. Some cleaners and solvents can be harmful if inhaled. Always use in a well-ventilated area. Some solvents are flammable. Keep flammables away from ignition sources such as open flames. Non-sparking tools may be required in some areas. Learn the specific hazards of the chemicals used at your job site. Some cleaners are corrosive to the skin. This means they can cause severe damage to the eyes and skin. They are typically alkaline cleaners used for jig cleaning and paint booth cleaning. Know what to do if you get chemical on you. Tell your team leader immediately, no exceptions. Get first aid treatment. For eyes and skin, flush immediately with water. Follow specific guidelines in the MSDS. Never apply another chemical to your body unless instructed by a doctor. In summary, follow these simple rules and you can protect yourself from cleaners and solvents. Follow label instructions. Label portable containers. Wear required PPE at all times while using a chemical. Use with adequate ventilation. Cuff gloves to avoid chemicals running up your sleeves. Immediately wipe up any spills. Know where the MSDS is located to find additional information. Some jobs at Maclellan, such as oven cleaning, require work in hot environments. Therefore, it is important to know how to protect yourself from the effects of heat and how to recognize the symptoms of heat stress, preventing heat-related incidents. High temperatures and humidity inhibit the body's ability to cool itself. This inability of the body to cool itself results in an increase in metabolism and body core temperature. This can result in various symptoms to include clammy skin, dizziness, nausea, cramps, and unconsciousness. If required to work in hot environments, you will be provided with water or electrolyte drinks and adequate breaks. However, you will need to take responsibility for protecting your own health. If you know in advance that you'll be working in a hot environment, hydrate your body and wear loose-fitting cotton clothing. Artificial ventilation will be provided where feasible. This is not allowed for some processes such as oven cleaning due to the potential to introduce contaminants such as dust and lint into the oven. If any symptoms of exposure occur, inform your supervisor. Electricity can also be extremely dangerous if not used properly. Some simple rules you must follow include all electrical equipment, including extension cords, must be inspected prior to use. Inspect for obvious defects, loose wiring, grounding pins in place. A ground fault circuit interrupter, GFCI, is required. If not plugged into a receptacle with ground fault protection, use a portable GFCI. Inspect and test prior to use. We have talked about how to prevent injury, but should the unexpected occur, you need to know what to do. Immediately report any near misses, close calls, injuries, and equipment damage to your supervisor. At a minimum, all incidents must be reported prior to the end of the shift on which the incident occurred. If you do not report the injury as required, disciplinary action will be taken. Our disciplinary action policy is as follows. Minor violations are typically unintentional or technical in nature. Disciplinary action. First offense, a verbal warning. Second offense, a written warning. Third offense, termination. There is a zero tolerance for major violations. Examples of major violations include intentionally disabling a safety device, intentional violation of any safety program, fighting on Maclellan or customer's property, assaulting another person, intentional property damage, harassment, sexual or otherwise, threats of violence, sexual misconduct, possessions of a firearm or other deadly weapon on Maclellan or customer's property, possession of or being under the influence of alcohol or drugs on the customer's property or Maclellan's, theft and arson. If you have any questions on the material covered today, make sure you get them answered before you leave. Now, to see if you remember the information we covered today, please answer the questions provided on the quiz. Circle the best answer. A score of 80% is required to pass. That's 28 correct answers. Take your time. Don't discuss with your neighbor or look in his or her paper. If you don't understand a question, check with your proctor.